Don't you know, true friends stab you in the front. I wouldn't hold my breath if I was you. You broke my heart and there's nothing you can do. And now you know, true friends stab you in the front. She likes that. She wears it a long time.
Welcome, everybody, to Tiger Talks Wrestling. Of course, your host, Tony, joined by Tom and Nick Mysterio, has been found, apparently, by Eddie Jankowski. Eddie, welcome into the show, man.
Hey, thanks for me being here. And yes, I found them. It took me a long time. So R-Truth, I got you, boy.
Well, at least somebody's got R-Truth back. Found him. We'll dive more into that here.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta say thank you to good friend of the show, Mr. Awesome, for. I say thank you to our good friend, Mr. Awesome, for that video that you see at the beginning of the show. I'll have it posted here eventually on my channel for people to see. I know it kind of cuts in and out there when I'm playing it. All right. It's been an interesting week for wrestling, and we're going to dive into a lot of what was interesting from WWE. Some big news coming out of Monday Night Raw from Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Which we'll get into later in the show. But I'd say after last week's episode that we did covering the 2 weeks, this was a pretty interesting, might have even been the most interesting week out of the 3 weeks of WWE programming so far. But yeah, we'll kick things off. Let's go with Monday Night Raw. That started with, of course, showing Seth Rollins arriving to the arena with his daughter in hand, and Jinder Mahal arriving as well. And then they'd cut in, have Cody Rhodes come out, and Cody would cut a promo, but Cody would get interrupted by the same guy who interrupted the first promo of the show the week before, or who came out, I should say, not interrupted, but Drew McIntyre, nonetheless. Both men looking to punch their ticket to WrestleMania by winning the Royal Rumble match. Another very good promo that Drew McIntyre was involved in my opinion, to kick off Monday Night Raw.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I thought his last three weeks of promos are just excellent. And when he talked about the history with him and Cody as tag team champions, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that, because it was, I mean, that never gets brought up about him and Drew being a tag team. And it was well worked, and Drew is right now. Drew's the hottest thing on the mic. You know, I mean, other than the whining and crying about stuff, but his mic work has improved so much from his first run with the WWE, and you know, hands down to Drew McIntyre. I mean, he is just dominating the mic right now.
That is true. I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, the guy goes from having a promo battle, if you will, last week with CM Punk, one of the best on the stick, and into having one with Cody Rhodes. I'd say he stood in there with both of those guys. Cody's been pretty good on the stick too, obviously, but
oh yeah,
Drew's definitely no slouch. They made good arguments, both of them, as to why they should be the one to win the Royal Rumble and go on to main event WrestleMania. We all know their histories with Roman and why they feel like they should be going into main event WrestleMania. I mean, Drew still has that whole he main evented a WrestleMania, but he main evented winning the world title in the Performance Center with no fans in attendance. Whereas Cody, his one main event at WrestleMania, of course, didn't go the way he wanted it to. So we'll see. One of those, I have a feeling those three guys will probably be in the final four, at least, if not the final three in the Royal Rumble match, personally.
You know what? I agree with you, and I will put one more person in there, and it revolves around a former Bloodline member, in Yeet. You know, so maybe if you add both Usos into that, I think it would be a compelling story of three guys that have dealt with the Bloodline. Well, not Punk, but the last two that have dealt with Punk. That have dealt with Roman, and it will show that the story's unfolding and everything like that. But we'll see at the Royal Rumble what goes down. But that would be a nice compelling story with both Usos and the two guys that were trying to get the title off of Roman. And then you add CM Punk. So I see it that way. But
yeah,
there's better. There's better option. You go with just the three, but to make it more Bloodline-esque, you do it that way.
right. You can see him doing something like that. I would say some people would probably even say Gunther in the final four or close to it. But I feel like he should be eliminated earlier on in the match, personally. No offense, but they need to set up his road to WrestleMania earlier on in the match instead of having him be one of the last ones eliminated, I think, this year.
Yes, I do agree with you with that Gunther has a F5 awaiting him, because last year when they had that little standoff in the Rumble, yeah, I would love to see that at WrestleMania, and I think, will this be, if it does happen, will it be Brock's first Intercontinental title challenge?
Okay, what's the deal?
It wouldn't be the first time he's challenged for it, because he challenged for it back in his first year. He challenged for it once, but he got himself disqualified, I believe, was what happened in the match, because he didn't really want the Intercontinental title at the time. He was more so worried about the big title after winning King of the Ring.
Was it against Jeff Hardy?
But this would be if he wins it, it'd be I believe so. I won't swear to it, but I believe it was Jeff Hardy who was Intercontinental champion at the time. But yeah, that's as long as Brock does make the appearance in the Royal Rumble, which he is slated to be part of the Rumble match, even though it hasn't been confirmed yet. But that's what the rumors are saying.
Oh yeah,
that's when he's
supposed to love them. You gotta love them rumors.
I live off the dirt sheets, of course.
Yeah, I know. Hey, we're not saying we're the Miz John Morrison,
Good point. No Johnny drip here.
Yep, I don't have a fan back of me going like this. Time it with others, hey.
Yeah. All right. I got track after Cody and Drew had their promo. We got the upper hand, I'd say, in that one for now. They'd go backstage to R-Truth in the Judgment Day locker room and has his merchandise and has a bunch of money, and Damian Priest comes in. This was a very funny promo that we've seen between Priest and R-Truth. I think it's great seeing these two guys interact on screen so far since R-Truth has returned. Of course, R-Truth say he was out in the parking lot selling the Judgment Day merchandise and hands Damian Priest his cut of the money that he's owed from the merchandise that got sold. Of course, there'd be flag Judgment Day shirts because R-Truth added and R-Truth of them, but still. Truth seemed to make a lot of money off of it. And I mean, I know they're just making jokes off of the fact that R-Truth's 2 shirts were the highest purchased shirts on WWEshop.com over.
Yeah, I gotta give it up to I don't know how Priest is keeping his composure. I mean, Liquid Gold by R-Truth.
I know, right?
Like, I mean, when he said to Priest, "Is everything okay with Tom and Mysterio?" I tried to find him on Facebook, but I couldn't find him.
Right? Tom and Nick instead of Dominic.
Yeah.
But of course, we have to mention what Priest told Truth at the end of the promo too, as we had a tag team match coming up later on in the show between Awesome Truth and Judgment Day. Damian told Truth, "Do not tag in," and Truth, of course, gives him the big old wink. He understands what Priest is saying, which we know how that's going to play out, and we'll get into that later. But before you get to that tag team match, the in-ring action starts with the other 2 members of Judgment Day in tag team action. JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio going up against DIY. I would say, personally, I feel like this was the best tag team match probably we've seen from DIY in a little while.
You know what? I'm actually going to say that.
I mean, kind of surprising. Still, what do you think?
I think it's better. I think, like, I don't want to say this because I love DIY, but their NXT work was better what they're getting now. I mean, it's like they're trying to find themselves again, and I'm like, you two, Ciampa and Gargano are great thing, but don't try to find yourself. Just go what you did in NXT. But the problem is, it's a new regime. They're trying to figure out what Triple H wants, and it's not under McMahon. And I get it. McMahon took their 2 characters and turned it upside down. They're trying to find themselves, and hopefully this match could get them back to where they were in NXT. Because they were liquid. They were gold. I mean, I think they're both great talent. They just got to find that footing. I mean, that's my opinion.
I'd agree with that. I mean, obviously we haven't seen them have as much success on the main roster, but it is clear, in my opinion, they are building to a DIY tag team title match. Whether or not it's a tag team title reign, we'll have to wait and see.
I just want to ask a question. When you come into New York, are you guys doing something?
Yeah, that's true.
Johnny, of course, got the pin victory over JD.
Yeah, sure.
Why do you think I'm
a pretty good tag team match to get out the in-ring action anyway. We go from that into the show from earlier in the day. Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae were talking backstage with Adam Pearce about wanting to get a tag team title opportunity at some point down the road. Pearce saying that they needed to prove themselves because Candice and Indy haven't really since they got into the main roster. Of course, then comes the former champions Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. All that leads into a tag team match. We get Indy and Candice versus Piper and Chelsea. They did show a pretty big nice video of Candice and Indy's partnership or relationship, if you will, from back in NXT just before this match went underway. I felt like good way to kind of reintroduce them in a way to the fans.
I don't know how they arrange it. I don't know. That's out of my hand too.
You know what? I agree with you at that part. That, like I said with DIY, they're in the same boat. They need to be reintroduced, and Triple H is doing a wonderful job with that.
Yeah, so far he has for the most part.
Yeah.
Now, unlike the men's tag team match that started the show, this women's tag team match just kind of, it was okay, I felt like, but nothing really stood out to me. I mean, Candice got the victory, which with a pretty nice assisted lion salt, if you will, to Chelsea, which was nice, but they just need, I don't know if they needed somebody different to be in the ring with or what, but I felt like we need to see more from Candice and Indy before you can actually consider them threats for Kate and Katana's tag team titles.
Yeah, that match was flat, and I'm sorry to say that, but yeah, it was flat. You could have put in Iconic, and that would have been fun.
Yeah, that's true. All right. After that match, they would show Imperium heading towards the ring, the Intercontinental Champion, the returning ring general, Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. Go to a video of Nia Jax, showing her dominance as of late. Then, of course, we go backstage to the Judgment Day locker room, and all 5 members of Judgment Day talking back there. Well, 4, and then Priest comes in afterwards. Priest and Rhea seem to butt heads a little bit in that promo. Things just don't seem quite the same between those two lately, with the whole R-Truth coming in and Rhea's issues with Drew McIntyre, Damien having issues with Drew McIntyre, and Rhea having her issues with Nia Jax, and well, we'll find out more other people she's got issues with going forward. But it just feels like the camaraderie and the unity is not quite all there for the Judgment Day as of late.
You know, you're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right. But I'm seeing it's like, you know, Priest is always saying, why are we protecting Drew McIntyre when he's not a part of our plan? You know, she's protecting her, and she's protecting Drew. So yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird that, you know, Rena protecting a guy that's not even a part of the group. But you know, we'll see this coming Monday when they face off with one another. They face off with one another to see what they're going to do, because that's going to be an interesting match when that was made. Like, ooh, what's going to happen? You know, so it could put more attention onto the group.
Right. Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, there's like with their cleaning thing.
I mean, we'll get obviously we'll get more into Judgment Day stuff as we go on throughout the show, as they have a lot of time on the show. But it was interesting to see that. Of course, then Priest mentions that Dominic and Finn need to go and get their cut from R-Truth, but JD wanted to know if he gets a cut. And as Damien said, well, you're not technically part of Judgment Day, so. Or you're not, your name's not on the shirt. But more too. Then we get, of course, Ludwig Kaiser making the introduction for the returning Intercontinental Champion, the ring general, Gunther. Gunther comes out there to praise Kaiser for what he did to Kofi last week. They re-show what happened between Kaiser and Kofi Kingston last week. which of course, well, Gunther also announces that he is officially entering the Royal Rumble match. And then, of course, out comes the other half of the New Day, as you were asking last week. Where is he? He reappeared.
I know.
Xavier Woods shows up. Want revenge for fallen New Day brethren. I guess you should ask where people are more often, because that's going to be the case.
I know. Like, I'm like, man, it's the magic of Eddie.
Right? Asking you shall receive. We got Xavier back in Kofi's defense. Anyway, sorry, I got a little distracted there for a second.
No, it's fine.
It would lead into Xavier Woods challenging Ludwig Kaiser to a match, and they had a pretty decent match. I mean, it felt like they were just getting things going when they got to the outside of the ring. Kaiser tried throwing the announce chair at Woods like he did to Kofi last week. Woods didn't have none of that and got himself disqualified. The brawl between the two would take place. I personally don't remember seeing this side of Xavier Woods that we've seen after that match in a long time, if ever.
Let me see. You know what? Did the last time I saw him be that vicious, he was in that gimmick as the Apollo Creed from TNA. That's the last time I saw him get that mad.
That was a long time ago, right?
Yeah, that was against. I think it was against.
I mean, not even in their feuds with like the Usos.
No. I think that match where he got really pissed off was against Sanjay Dutt. So that's how long it's been that he got into that woodsy mode.
Right? I mean, it's good to see him try and stick up for Kofi, but definitely interesting to see this side of Woods.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So from after that, those two stop fighting. We go backstage and get a promo from Big Bronson Reed saying that there's a champion walking around that doesn't even know that his days are numbered pretty much. What did you take of the Bronson Reed promo? Who do you think he's targeting champion-wise? Do you think it's Gunther he's going after, or do you think his might have been referring to perhaps a Seth Rollins?
Well, the track record with Bronson Reed. My opinion, I think he's talking about Gunther. I mean, I think he's talking about Gunther. You know, I don't see him talking about Seth, you know, as of right now. But yeah, I do see him talking about Gunther because he said that to main event Jey Uso. He wants gold, but it's a whole together different way with Bronson. So
Sure.
yeah, I got him with the IC title.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, but you never know. It could be a different champion he's thinking of too. Of course, then they go backstage. Byron catches up with Woods, trying to see how Kofi was doing and all that, but Woods gets attacked from behind by Kaiser. In comes Jey Uso to make the save. Honestly, seeing all this, I'm hoping for an Imperium versus New Day rivalry. Full 3-on-3. Unfortunately, right now, it's more like Imperium versus New Day and Jey Uso, 2/3 of New Day and Jey Uso. I'd rather see Big E make his return and be part of this rivalry, though, personally.
You know,
It'd be great. We talked about it last week. It'd be great if Big E returned at the Royal.
I agree with you. You know, I miss Big E. I mean, I know that scare that he had with his neck injury, and you know, I hope he is coming back because it's not the same without Big E on WWE programming. You know, I mean, I love main event, I love Jey Uso, but you need Big E to return.
Yes. New Day's not complete without Big E.
No.
All right. So then we go from there. They would re-show parts of the Ivar Otis match from last week leading into the next match as we get Ivar versus Alpha Academy member Akira Tozawa. And I felt like this match was one-sided, like you figure it would be, but I was not expecting the outcome we got out of this match, to say the least. I mean, Ivar is up on the second rope getting ready to hit that moonsault on Tozawa. Maxine Dupree gets on the apron to cause a distraction. Tozawa hits a power bomb off the buckle and gets the 1, 2, 3 out of it. I don't think anybody had Tozawa winning that match personally.
No, I had my look when I saw that match. I had to look like the guy from WrestleMania 30 when the Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar. That's the look I had. Like,
Right?
like, wait a minute, Tozawa won?
What?
Like what? You know, but
Right?
it is what it is.
It definitely wasn't expected, but at least Ivar and Valhalla got their revenge after the match. They took out both Tozawa and Dupree, so still made Ivar look good, even though he lost the match.
Good Lord.
I did see a CM Punk Instagram post.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Valhalla, man, she mauled
Before I go into that,
Maxine. I was like, oh, we're celebrating. When bam, she just got it right in the mouth.
She did.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God.
And those two have had their issues in the past, obviously, too. No strangers to each other.
No.
Anywho, as saying, then you got the CM Punk Instagram showing that he's going to be on Raw next week, and he wants to talk with Cody Rhodes. So we're going to go from Drew and Punk, and then Drew and Cody to Cody and Punk next week, as we're hyping up towards the Royal Rumble match. I still think those three guys got to be three of the top favorites to win the match, personally.
Oh yeah, it feels like it's
would go backstage.
It feels like an episode of Perfect Strangers. You know, like you have all these people like in one room, like, yeah, let's just do this. I'll go with you. You know.
I almost feel like Drew McIntyre is probably going to get involved in that whole promo with it being the last Raw before Royal Rumble, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Then we go backstage. Alpha Academy, Gable's trying to boost Tozawa and Maxine Dupree up and telling them that Ivar and Valhalla went too far. They're stupid idiots, pretty much. You get the Creed brothers there as well talking. Ivy Nile comes in and says she's going to take care of Valhalla. She'll get a match made with Valhalla, which she does for next week. And Chad Gable actually says he's going to go and get himself a match with Ivar next week as well. So he's going to teach him a lesson. I felt like almost like that was just a thrown together segment just to beef up next week's show and get those guys TV time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I thought it was like, okay, we're just going to put this all together. So let's just throw it up against a wall and see where it goes.
Right. Then from there, we get, honestly, what I felt like was probably the best promo, really, on the show. No offense to Drew and Cody, because they had a really good promo, but I still felt like they got one-upped by these two ladies. Of course, you got the women's world champion, who's on your shirt there, Mommy. Rhea Ripley would come out and was talking about how no woman will be able to stop her, and unless you want to waste your Royal Rumble victory heading into WrestleMania, you'll go and pick another women's champion and not pick Rhea Ripley, because Rhea claims she's going to repeat last year and win at WrestleMania. Which would bring out, of all people, the man, Becky Lynch. I personally am one that has been waiting and watching this match. And the promo these two had, Becky telling Rhea that she's had these doubts pretty much of whether or not Rhea's better than her, was perfect. And I feel like it was a great start to leading into the road to WrestleMania for those two. And it made me want Becky Lynch to win the Royal Rumble match that much more, because I want to see this Becky Lynch Rhea Ripley match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Oh, what a promo by Becky and even Rena. I mean, for Becky Lynch, who has so much success, is a grand slam champion. For her to say to Rena, to Mommy, you're better than me. That is like, who will say that to somebody that is, that's been in the main event of WrestleMania? I mean, I got to give it up to both ladies. They're showing that when it comes time to Mania, when WrestleMania rolls in Philly, that is going to be one of the best matches of the night, because I think it could top Rena's match last year with Charlotte that should have ended a little earlier than it did.
Yeah, I could definitely see Becky and Rhea topping Charlotte and Rhea's, but
yeah,
we'll have to wait and see if we can manage to get there. I mean, Becky's got to beat those other 29 other women. And you talk about how good Becky was in mentioning that. How about Rhea telling Becky at the end of the promo, there's one other person that wants you to win the Royal Rumble match more than you do, and that's me. That tells you something, that Rhea wants this match too. So is there doubt there perhaps in Rhea Ripley's head as to whether she's better than Becky as well?
Yeah, they both came off.
Too.
They both came off as two people that really want this match at WrestleMania. Like, hey, no matter what happens, it's going to happen. Either Becky wins or, it's going to come down to the Royal Rumble match itself to see who's going on to WrestleMania. And I hope and I pray that it's Becky winning it for a second time and pick Arena, because it's about time them two meet up in the main event of WrestleMania.
Right? A main event. All right. So we go from there. Jackie Redmond would talk backstage with Seth about his upcoming main event match for the world title. Nothing too big they would talk about there. Then you go in, you get the Awesome Truth versus the Judgment Day. Awesome Miz and Truth. Well, Miz comes out first. Our Truth comes out with Priest and Balor when they make their entrance. I didn't even notice it until I seen it on social media later, but the CGI photo that they show at the beginning of the Judgment Day's entrance had Our Truth on there as well. for the Judgment Day. I was like, what the hell? I mean, it's great, but still. And then to see Truth come out there. No, go ahead.
No. I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing about him. Oh my God.
Right? And to see Truth come out there, I mean, he's posing with Finn and Priest, and Miz is saying, "What are you doing? We're part teaming together here. You're supposed to be over here with me." And then our Truth decides he's gonna start the match for his team, so that way he's not going up against what Priest said. Priest just told him not to tag in. It didn't mean he couldn't start the match. And then when he starts the match, he pulls out the cash out of his pocket and goes to hand it to Finn, but drops it all over the mat before he could give it to Finn, and sticks it into Finn's jacket. Man. Then he gives Dom part of his money, and then JD's asking where his is, and Truth's like, "You're not at the Judgment Day. You don't get none."
Oh my God.
Always the funniest part of the show.
Yeah. When I was reading something online, after all that happened, they're saying that it was the Judgment Day, Priest and Finn and Reen, all of them going to Triple H and saying, "Hey, to let this work, we want to put R-Truth on our video board." I mean, if they're into it, this is comic gold by Truth and all that. But if there's a funny wing, for best guy that keeps people laughing and keep watching every week, man, R-Truth hand down to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right? You ain't wrong. I mean, but then you had to feel a little bad for the guy too at the end of the match. I mean, he did his best to keep him and Miz in it, but he ends up taking a south of heaven from Damian Priest, who looked conflicted in doing so, but he still did it. Finn Balor gets the pin, the 1, 2, 3 as Judgment Day wins. But you gotta feel bad for R-Truth, but yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe feel worse for Miz because it's his first loss this year.
R-Truth be like, "It's okay. I forgot you told me not to be in the match." Truth is gonna spin it in a good way.
Right? Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Then after that match, they'd go back. Jackie would talk to Jinder Mahal about the upcoming main event. We'd get a Shinsuke Nakamura video of him saying he's going to be in the Royal Rumble match, and that 29 other men are going to suffer the wrath of Shinsuke pretty much after he lost to Cody last week. And that Cody will be one of them that he'll take out. He's still not done with Cody. I don't think there was anything too memorable really from that promo. It just seems like more of what we've been seeing from Shinsuke really lately.
It's good promos. What else can you say?
It is. Then we get a video of Caden Carter and Katana Chance backstage. They'd be talking with Shayna and Zoe Stark about a potential match at some point. Tegan Knox and Natalya come back in, wanting a rematch against Shayna and Zoe. We'd get that rematch, and again, like I said last week, let me say this. Why did we need this rematch, first of all? I mean, last week's was such a bad match, this tag team match, and then they put on another stink show, in my opinion, here. Don't put these two teams together anymore. I think it's stupid. They're starting to get repetitive with matches, I've noticed over the last few weeks.
Yeah. I just feel like they just want to give Natalya TV time.
I guess.
Who doesn't like to see a
She ends up getting choked.
yeah, I mean, who doesn't like a reincarnation on the model with her French hat and glasses? I mean, she looks like a second version of Rick Martel.
Doesn't she though?
Yeah, I know. I don't
Alright,
know.
so there was that match.
I'm getting tired, like you said. I'm getting tired of it. Switch it up. Blow up the team, turn them heel. It needs to end quick and easy because it's starting to get like you definitely want to sit there and just yell at the TV and say boring. Yeah.
Right. Time for a bathroom break.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't mean just to rag on Natalia and Tegan, but I almost feel like Shayna and Zoe just aren't a very good match as a team. Really. They both be badasses in a way, but maybe it's just the opponents they're putting them in the ring against. I don't know, but there should be something better for those ladies. I feel like. I mean, look at where they were just 6-7 months ago. I mean, Shayna was with Ronda, and then her turn on Ronda should have led to something bigger. Zoe was with Trish Stratus for months, and then she turns on Trish, and that should have led to something bigger, and it didn't. They both kind of just fizzled out and got thrown together. I feel like they both should be somewhere different than where they're at.
I think me and you are on the same page with this. Yeah, you just beat Ronda Rousey, a Hall of Famer, in the UFC. You go from being the next Ronda Rousey to being the Red Rooster.
Pretty much comparison.
Then to Tony.
I mean, at least she's getting wins unlike the Red Rooster, but still.
No, but still. How can these two ladies go from being with top people and then all of a sudden just fall underneath the bus? I mean, that's poor management.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but unless you're in the main title pictures, I feel like that is one department that Triple H has kind of lacked in is the women's division. I feel like they need a revamp or something different for the women's division, personally. Like I said, the top pictures, you see in Nia, Becky, Rhea on Raw. That's going really good. I mean, the promos and stuff. But everything underneath, even the tag teams, I mean, Corey Graves tried, we'll get into that later more so, but Corey Graves was trying to boost up this tag team division in WWE right now for the women on SmackDown this past Friday night during the women's tag team title match. And I kind of had to laugh at him because this tag team division is piss poor, in my opinion.
No, I get what you're saying because I heard what he said. I'm like, listen, so what are you watching?
Yeah, really. We're watching something completely different, pal.
Yeah, what are you? Okay, I know what I'm watching, but what the hell are you watching? Because it's not like I said. You must be watching the Glamour Girls versus the Jumping Bomb Angels. Because I'm not watching the one with just.
Exactly. Because we'll get more into that in Corey later, but
yeah.
All right. Tone down on that women's division, tag team division at least for right now. Move on to the main event of Monday Night Raw. Jinder Mahal, of course, the modern day Maharaja, would finally have Viren Sanga in his corner for the first time this year, going up against Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. These two had a really great match, in my opinion. The best match on this entire episode of Raw. And that's saying something for putting Jinder Mahal in there, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we knew when you look back, these two guys have faced each other, of course, before the finals of the NXT Championship match to determine the first ever NXT champion. They had a pretty good match then. This is many years later. We haven't really seen a whole lot of Jinder in ring wise in several months, but he looked really good here. There was times where it looked like he could have won the World Heavyweight Championship. It didn't happen though. Damian Priest even came out, looked like he might cash in the contract. That didn't happen either, as Drew McIntyre would come out and thwart him. Unfortunately, though, the main thing, Seth freaking Rollins did get injured during this match.
Yeah,
He would go on to hit the stomp, get the 1, 2, 3. It looked like Jinder would get the win a couple times, but Seth Rollins is injured. I'll get more into the injury in a few minutes. What did you take out of this entire match? The whole thing going on with Priest being out there and Drew getting involved as well.
Well, first of all, the match was good for a Jinder Mahal match. I mean, I was really surprised how their chemistry a decade later, since that first match in NXT, that was a good match. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre coming out with Drew trying to foil the cash in. He's been trying that for a couple of weeks now. And seeing in this year, like, oh my God, I thought they got released. But yeah, it was good. And then, but the other thing, the Seth Rollins injury, yeah. Like you said, we'll talk about it, but I give that match, Seth is a workhorse. Jinder just puts into it, and the chemistry's there. I give this match, with all the other crap, I give it a B plus. If it was just a regular match, I think it would have been really good without the drama.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Seth retains, as mentioned, got the injury. It wouldn't be revealed till yesterday how bad the injury is. I mean, it could have been worse. So he's got a torn MCL and a partially torn meniscus. What I was reading, it depends on what the tear is of the ACL as to how long he could potentially be out. But the longest, it sounds like, possibly with the surgery, that he should be out of the ring is 6 weeks. So still plenty of time to make it back in time for WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know until Monday night when he talks, how bad it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
we won't know.
My best case scenario, if it's bad that he's going to be out for a long time, you put the World Heavyweight title match, put the world title in the Royal Rumble. You make that Royal Rumble, whoever wins becomes the champ. That's one scenario. But if Seth can be out for 6 weeks, like you said, then go with that, and it's not going to hurt because how many times have Roman Reigns been out, as world champion? So
exactly,
we'll see. Right now, all the storylines are heading into WrestleMania, so it's not like Seth has to defend the title. He has, but we'll see Monday night. I mean, I would like your opinion. Which way do you see this scenario working? Like, do you see that if it is a bad one, that it's in the Royal Rumble match?
Possibly, but I don't know that if they could do that. They could, because, like we said, you got to figure there hasn't been a whole lot of SmackDown guys that have been announced for the Royal Rumble match to begin with. Their main guys are in a Fatal 4-Way match. So I could see potentially them doing that in the Royal Rumble. I'd rather see them not take the title off of Seth, but I have a little bit of a feeling that Seth has prided himself on being a fighting champion. Seth has made it a point that he's not Roman. He's not somebody that's just going to sit on the sidelines as champion. will that come into play? Will he not want to keep the title on himself if he's going to be gone for essentially 6 weeks? I mean, best case scenario, it could be the lightest of tears, and he might only be out 2 to 3 weeks, which would be great. But I don't know. I think it all comes down to how Seth is feeling, what Seth thinks about it. I mean, obviously Triple H makes the final call, but I feel like Seth's decision is going to be there as well. And I'm hoping they don't take the title off him, and I'm still hoping for Punk and Rollins at WrestleMania. So we'll see how we get there.
Yeah, that was my saying as well too. But man, what a blow to Seth Rollins, man. He's been working his ass off, and I got to give props to him, man. He's been the finest champion.
I even seen online where people were saying just have Priest cash in and win the title on Raw Monday night, but I don't know. I'd see him possibly doing something like that, but I'd rather just see Seth keep the title, give him a few weeks off if he needs it, and then go from there. But we'll see. Like you said, it all just depends on how bad the injury is, really.
Yeah.
Because what they report online that they heard could be something completely different from what's happened.
Is it the same knee he injured before?
I want to say I think it's the other knee, because I think it was his right knee before, and this time it's the left knee.
Yeah.
Oh. I think so. All right. So we'll look forward to what happens on Raw this upcoming Monday. Of course, we'll get the update. Seth Rollins is supposed to kick off the show to announce the future for the World Heavyweight Championship going forward. Now we'll move on to NXT. Was there anything else you wanted to say about Raw before I move on to NXT?
No, I thought it was a good show. I mean, it wasn't the best, but I think some spots there really helped it, and we already said who we think it was the best. With Judgment Day and Truth. I mean, the main event, and Drew and Cody. I think that was it. And Rena and Becky. All the rest of it felt like everything was usual as normal.
Right? That's for sure. All right. We'll move on to NXT then. They kick off the show with, of course, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. First round match is you got Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams going up against Idris Anafi and Malik Blade. For anybody who doesn't know who Idris Anafi and Malik Blade was and hadn't really seen much of them, if you saw this match, then you had to be impressed by those two guys. No, they did not win. Carmelo and Trick managed to get the victory, as many people I'm sure figured they would. Trick actually get the pinfall. But I still felt like Malik and Idris showed off pretty well in that match. Came off pretty well in that match.
Yeah, I thought the match was good. I mean, it was all around good match, and Trick getting the win, and it shows his development. But other than that, it was a good match.
Especially for we don't really see Trick and Carmelo as a tag team very often either. So
yeah.
But speaking of teams that aren't usually teams, the next tag team match was quite interesting. It's got Lyra Valkyria and Lyra Valkyria. I mean, Tatum Paxley dressed up as Lyra Valkyria, doing the whole poses and everything. Going up against Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice. What do you take? Well, I mean, we kind of... My niece Hope, of course, mentioned this last week. This whole Tatum Paxley, Lyra Valkyria thing is kind of reminiscent of the whole Mickey James, Trish Stratus from back in the day. Tatum Paxley in the role of Mickey James, of course. There. What do you think of this whole? Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to agree. It's like a second.
What do you think of this whole thing of Tatum?
I like it. It shows that it's variety, and Valkyria has to learn. Like, okay, this is what it is. But I do like it, and I see it. I see it's working really well. We just got to see how far it's going to go. But yeah, I do like it. I think it's a great way to start. The second coming of Mickey James and Trish.
Put it that way. Of course, that towards the end of the match, Tatum Paxley actually managed to pick up the win over Elektra Lopez. And then after the match, we got a brawl, not between the two teams, but between the two members of one team, as Lola Vice and Elektra Lopez would have a falling out. And we're fighting all the way to the back. The commentators, Booker T and Vic Joseph, were kind of mentioning over the last couple of weeks how it seemed like things were a little off since Lola Vice won the breakout tournament. But I personally was surprised to see that happen. I didn't really see it coming.
Yeah, I didn't even see it coming either. I was like, oh, they must be, one of them might be going up to the main roster to be with Elgato Fantasma.
That's possible. They could do that with Elektra.
Elektra could go up and deal with the woman that took her spot.
Yeah, Selena.
Yeah. It wasn't a big match.
I'll wait until we get onto that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just thinking of something else that I'll talk about when we get to SmackDown.
Sure.
What were you? What's your thought?
I just got to say, I think it was well done with them ladies, and it shows that NXT's women's division is actually a little better, than we have on the main roster, and that gives it up to Sean and everybody that works in NXT. They're really developing a good division.
Yeah. All right. We move on from that match. You go into Ridge Holland versus Joe Coffey, who, of course, has the other members of Gallus at ringside with him. So it's an interesting match between Ridge and Joe Coffey. I don't know how many times they wrestled in the UK, because I know they both were part of NXT UK at one point. But they had good chemistry, I felt like, here. And Ridge Holland actually picked up the win, which I was not expecting. I figured Joe Coffey probably would with a little help, since he had his brother and his friend out there. But then after the match, Gallus beats up on Ridge Holland and keep looking to the back, and nobody's coming out to try and help Ridge Holland as he gets laid out by Gallus. What's your take on all of that happened, the match itself, and then Gallus just laying out Ridge Holland as nobody came?
Okay, so the match was it was an okay match to me, but the Ridge Holland then is a little weird. Like, they're playing off all his mishaps about injuring people by accident, and I get that they're just trying to build his character, his gimmick, but who's gonna help a guy that they feel like, well, he hurt Big E, he hurt Elio Dragunov, he hurt Pretty Deadly, but yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. Is it great that Ridge Holland is back in NXT? Yeah, because he needs more work.
Right. I agree with that. But it seems like they'd have to have, if they're going to continue this rivalry, they're going to have somebody eventually come out to Ridge's defense to help him out against Gallus. Who? I don't know. But
give it up. It'd be Nathan Frazier.
Nathan Frazier and Axiom?
Yeah.
Possibly. They got to get through this Dusty Cup first. Oh. They did advance. Before I move into that, I think it was before this match, really, but I'll go into it real quick. They would have a backstage segment between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams talking about how they won the match against Idris and Malik, how they have their upcoming match next week in the semifinals, and then the finals at Vengeance Day. But they would get interrupted as Ilya Dragunov would come into the scene and announce that he is 100% cleared, and Trick Williams will get his match for the NXT Championship at Vengeance Day, rather. So the finals of the Dusty Cup are taking place at Vengeance Day, and now Trick's got Ilya at Vengeance Day, which gives a little bit of a problem there, as Carmelo was like, hey, we might be in the Dusty Finals. If we make it to the Dusty Finals, that happens the same night. What are you going to do? So Trick says he's going to pull double duty. So we'll have to watch and see how things transpire between all three of those guys in that situation. I know Melo's my guy, but it almost like he is a little jealous of Trick in some ways in that promo, it seemed like.
Can I give
Which I can understand, because I mean, Trick did mention.
Can I give a spoiler about who I think is going to be in the finals, or do you want to wait on that? Can I give a spoiler about who I think is going to be in the finals?
You go ahead.
Okay. My spoiler
Who do you
is not
think?
a prediction. It's not a prediction because I'm doing the Paul Heyman way. It's a spoiler. I feel like the way this is going, that the finals are going to be set for Vengeance Day. It's going to be Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin versus Trick and Melo. I'm sorry to say this because I know you love him because he is yours and we love him as him. Corbin and Breaker are going to win. And then we're going to finally see Trick go for his title, and then you're going to see a betrayal that Trick is going to get turned on by Melo. It's setting the stage. It's setting the stage, and I know you don't like.
I agree.
I don't like talking ill about your Melo, but the melons are going to come up, and it's going to be that way. That they're going to lose, and Melo's not going to. He can't take it because he has nothing left.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah. With all that, honestly. I hate to say I agree with it, but I do. I see that happening. Because Carmelo's going to say, hey, Trick, you had your mind on two different things. Your head wasn't in the game, and that cost us the Dusty Cup. So
yeah.
But speaking of the Dusty Cup, the next match would be to determine who would face Melo and Trick in the semifinals next week. You got Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne representing Chase U against the LWO, Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro with Selena Vega. I would say another really good tag team match that they had on NXT program this week. The LWO, of course, picked up the win as Cruz del Toro would beat Duke Hudson. I was impressed by Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne. I mean, he's still new. He's only 4 or 5 matches, something like that in. I mean, if you count their other NXT show, maybe a little bit more. But he's been pretty impressive, I feel like, through the 2 tournaments that he's been a part of now.
I agree with you. I think he's been really good and all that, but it puzzles me. The LWO can win in NXT, but when it comes to the main roster, they got no chance.
I know, right? Which we'll go into more when we get to SmackDown, obviously. But
and I'm looking at them like, wait a minute, they're supposed to be the Latino World Order, and they're good in NXT. It's like, wait a minute, am I watching an episode of Thunder? You know.
right? That's for sure. I will say Joaquin and Cruz still have been impressive. I feel like I like the spotlight that those two guys are getting in NXT, though. I feel like they don't get quite as much on SmackDown, personally.
I agree with you.
We move on. The crowd was loving having Zelina Vega back in NXT as well. So, because of course, back in the day, Zelina used to manage a certain El Idolo in NXT. So,
oh yeah,
which I'm going to bring his name up again later too. Then we go on. You got Dijak going up against Trey Bearhill, who's got pretty much the same type of Indian descent, I guess, is what. Oh wow, I just drew a blank on his name.
Tatanka.
Shame on me. Can't believe I did that. No. Guy, I have to look it up here. 1 second. Give me a minute.
Oh, is that guy? Thor?
Terrible that I forget his name because I shouldn't. Eddie Thorpe.
Yeah.
Eddie Thorpe.
Yeah.
I should remember his name. Anywho, has a lot. Trey Bearhill has a lot in common with Eddie Thorpe. I'd say the match was okay, but the most entertaining part of this match was having Joe Gacy on commentary.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Him just popping up in there. Yeah, him just popping up in there and wearing the old tannish brown, whatever you want to call it, colored blazer. Booker and Dick trying to figure out where he came from and why he's on commentary and all that fun stuff. To even Dijak getting a headbutt from Joe Gacy during the match that the referee didn't see, but yeah, Dijak would still go on to win the match. Like I said, it was just Dijak gets a win, and then Gacy and Dijak brawl after the match. Be interesting to see where they go from here between Joe Gacy and Dijak.
Yeah.
Oh, and Trey Bearhill would get attacked by Lexus King as well. Because Trey Bearhill cost Lexus King the breakout tournament.
Be honest, I actually thought that was Tatanka's younger son. I was like, who's this guy?
Right. So let's move on to the main event, shall we? So this was definitely a unique main event. I mean, you start out with 20 women in the ring for a battle royal, but the caveat is when they get to the final four, it turns into a fatal four-way match. I will say, honestly, this battle royal wasn't as fast-paced as what you usually see a battle royal on TV be, in my opinion. I've said that a lot today, in my opinion, but I'm going to. The eliminations weren't as fast and furious as what you usually see. And I felt like a lot of the girls really got a chance to shine throughout this match. However, I do want to know, why were there so many of the bigger name women missing out of this match? I mean, where was Nikita Lyons, for that matter? For one. JC Jane wasn't in this match. Trying to think of who else. There's other women, bigger name women, that were not a part of this match that I was like, why are they not included in this
Tiffany
match? What's their
Stratton
reasoning
wasn't
for not having them in there? Yeah, Tiffany Stratton wasn't in there. I don't understand why they had so many of these newer girls in there that haven't really gotten much TV time compared to having in those three ladies alone that we just mentioned. Is it just because they didn't want them to end up with a loss, or was there another reasoning?
Well, you have a point there. It's like,
But anyway,
I was like this. I was like, when I saw, I was like, wait, where's Nikita? Where's Tiffany Stratton? And we know Cora J was not going to be there because she tore her ACL at a live event. So we knew that. But yeah, it wasn't the star-studded that I was expecting.
right. But I will say, I don't know how much you've seen of her in other promotions, but the Ren Sinclair was in there towards the end of the match was shit, what was her name? I just drew a blank on the name that she had in the Indies. I know I've seen a lot of her stuff, and she's a pretty good wrestler, though. She got the spot in this match just because she's the one that was in the match with Cora Jade when Cora got injured.
Oh, is that the one with the
what her name was on the Indies?
Is that
the one? She was in
with
AEW for a while too.
The dungaree overalls or whatever she was wearing?
She was the last one eliminated before the Fatal 4-Way started anyway. I don't remember what she was wearing.
I know who you were talking about. Yeah. I seen her in some indie wrestling shows. I think she even appeared on
Maddie Rankowski.
Yeah. And she
even appeared on for a little while.
Yeah. She was trained by who was she trained by? It was somebody in AEW that trained her.
Oh, let me look it up, see if I can find out. Because Maddie Rankowski was her name before she got to WWE.
Yeah.
You probably can look her up by the name they gave her now, though.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad she kept part of her last name as her first name, but I didn't want that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she made it to the end of the Battle Royal part there, but she was on AEW and NWA. Just want to see her Wikipedia page. Oh, she even vacated a women's title to be part of NXT programming now. Okay. I'm not really finding what I was looking for. Yeah, she might have been one of the Nightmare Factory trained too.
Maybe she was trained by the Mike now. Yeah, I forgot. I know they said on the AEW.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not finding much, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cody of the Nightmare Factory and QT Marshall will help train her. Anyway, back on topic, now that it was way off topic since she was the last one eliminated in the Battle Royal part of this.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised by 3 of the 4 that made it to the Fatal 4-Way. I'll put that out there. Kiana James, Fallon Henley, and Roxanne Perez were not surprising to see get into the Fatal 4-Way. I was, however, a little bit surprised to see Kalani Jordan in that Fatal 4-Way match. Now, it makes sense really why she was when you look at the end of the match, but I wasn't expecting her to make it that far. I was expecting, I don't know who exactly I was expecting, but somebody else anyway. I mean, I was expecting like a Tiffany Stratton to be in there and make it to the Final Four, but still.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. I was like, what is she doing in there? You know, I thought she'd be like the third. I thought she'd be like the second to last. You know, like I thought she'd be eliminated from the match like midway through it. You know, because she's not ready yet as well. But it was they're trying to build her up.
I mean, they gave her the Kofi spot in the match, so
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when your man's Carmelo
but when the
Hayes,
Fatal 4-Way was all said.
Yeah, when you're
Is she with Carmelo?
Yeah, she is dating Carmelo Hayes.
Was she really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Huh. Learned something new today.
Yeah. They post a lot of stuff on Instagram of them like out and about. Yeah, they're dating.
Huh. Yeah, I know I hadn't seen that. That's all right. But when it's all said and done with that Fatal 4-Way, you get a Pop Rocks to Kelly Jordan, and Roxanne Perez wins the match. She will go on to Vengeance Day to face Lyra Valkyria for the NXT Women's title. Do you think Roxanne was the right pick to win this match? If and why? Yes or no?
If the field was a little better, no, she should have never won. Because we could have had Nikita, we could have had, JC Jane and, Tiffany Stratton. People that should have been in that battle royal. They weren't there. You get what you get. To me, I think Roxanne is good, but
yeah,
you have all this thing and trying to figure it out. I do see that it's going to be a good match, but it could have been somebody else.
So here's my I feel like this match was going to be Cora Jade's match. I think that Cora would have won it if she'd not gotten injured, and then she would have gotten the title match at Vengeance Day. Now, with Roxanne winning, with Cora going down with the injury, and what we've been seeing from Roxanne lately, I feel like we're going to get a heel turn for Roxanne Perez in this title match. A full-on heel turn. Because you've seen some heel tendencies from her lately.
I saw it in the match. I saw it after the match.
And I feel like the crowd's been... Yeah, I'd agree. I kind of did see it there too, but...
Yeah.
She's been treading down that path, I feel like, lately, and I think that full heel turn is going to happen during the match against Lyra at Vengeance Day, probably leading to a new champion.
And do you feel like it's going to be a cash-in too?
Possibly, but we'll see. I mean, okay, the way I'd go with that, I don't know if they're going to try to do Lola as a babyface going forward through this rivalry with Elektra Lopez, or if they're going to have her heel. I feel like they got to have her babyface because the crowd seems to be really into Lola. So possibly she could cash in on Roxanne and then take the title, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. That'd be for an interim. That'd make for an interesting feud. That'd be fresh blood, if you will, at the top of the NXT women's division. So.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say that was a pretty good episode of NXT. They've all been pretty good. All three of them so far this year for NXT. I feel like in a way, I almost feel like they keep getting better each week, whereas Raw's kind of done the opposite. So,
yeah.
All right.
That's
my last take on NXT.
Did we forget one? Did we forget one promo? The Dragon Lee and
What's that?
The Dragon Lee promo. Did we mention that?
Oh no, I didn't mention the Dragon Lee, and I just forgot his name too.
Yeah.
The NXT North American Champion.
Yeah, Abba yeah. Let's just say that it wasn't something that was good.
Yeah,
so if people ask us, what do you think about the Dragon Lee promo with the new NXT North American Champion? It wasn't good, people. So let's just go from there.
No, it wasn't. Right? I mean, it was forgettable, and you had to figure Obafemi was going to tell Dragon Lee no when Dragon Lee wanted his rematch.
Yeah.
That's all.
Let's just say that Dragon Lee carried that promo.
Well, yeah, he did. All fairness, it was Obafemi's first promo, really, I guess. But still. All right, let's move on to the bigger show. Friday Night SmackDown. We got the show, of course, with highlights from last week. And then you got the Bloodline backstage as Jimmy and Solo are waiting for Roman and Paul to arrive. They come in. Roman saying he's there because he's got to take care of business because Paul and Jimmy and Solo couldn't do it last week. Solo actually says that he's going to fix things this week. It was on him. We go from there to the ring where Nick Aldis is in the ring for the contract signing for the Fatal 4-Way match at the Royal Rumble. He calls out first the phenomenal AJ Styles, who gets a big ovation in his hometown. And then LA Knight and then Randy Orton, they all come out and they quickly sign the contract. Then Nick Aldis calls for Roman Reigns, and Roman's music hits, but instead of Roman, we get the wise man, Paul Heyman, coming out. Paul Heyman says that him and Roman just arrived to the arena. They haven't had a chance to look over the contract. They haven't had a chance to give it to the lawyer to look it over. Therefore, Roman Reigns will not be signing this contract for the Fatal 4-Way match at the Royal Rumble. Nick Aldis says, that's fine. Roman doesn't have to sign the contract then. And at the Royal Rumble, these three willing participants who have signed the contract will compete in a triple threat match for the vacant WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. The reaction from Paul Heyman to that news was priceless. Turns around, about faces, and marches towards the ring, telling Nick Aldis that he really likes him and his mediocre job that he's done as general manager so far, but that Nick Aldis can't do that. It's all under Roman's decision to do things. It should be Roman one-on-one in a one-on-one match at the Rumble. LA Knight pipes up and says, yes, it should be one-on-one, him and Roman, that AJ and Randy are two Johnny come latelys to make returns after being injured for months. AJ had a problem with that, leading to a brawl between AJ and LA Knight. Randy grabs a hold of Paul Heyman by the tie and tells Paul that not only tonight is he going to beat Solo Sikoa, but he will reintroduce Roman Reigns to the three most deadliest letters in all of sports entertainment tonight. R KO. Quite the interesting start to Friday Night SmackDown. I don't think I've really seen Paul Heyman get that frazzled by an announcement in quite some time.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree. And whatever's going on with Solo and Roman, it is starting to show. And I can't wait to see where that goes. That
right.
Because that looks like the Usos are gonna turn on. Solo's gonna be like, I had enough, and Roman's playing this like, well, it's me against the world, and they're helping him. But yeah, the cracks are finally happening.
It seems like it. LA Knight and AJ Styles just can't get along. So
No.
I mean, AJ telling LA Knight even in that promo, you stepped over my dead body to get to that match. And LA told AJ, yeah, I'll step over your dead body again to win a WWE championship at Royal Rumble. We see Logan Paul arriving to the arena. Nick Aldis and AJ talk backstage because AJ wants LA Knight and he gets his match. Nick Aldis was more than happy to give it to him. Anything else you want to say about that stuff before I go into the first match?
No, actually, we already said what our piece. Nick Aldis is like, man. I mean, I was looking at a TikTok of Roman, and he's like, "This fool's trying to tell me what to do. I'm the head of the table," and he's like my back complaining. I'm like, it shows that Roman never had a authority figure tell him what to do. It's showing that people they're getting tired of the bloodline making their own decisions.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. So in the first match, you got the LWO in a 6-man tag match against Legado del Fantasma. Carlito, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro, of course, representing LWO. It's a pretty fast-paced and really good, I felt like, 6-man tag match to start off the show. Santos Escobar would get a flying tag and rolled up Carlito to get the win for Legado. Good start or good continuation, I guess, to their rivalry. Things are nowhere close to finish between Carlito and Santos Escobar.
No, and like I said to you before about the LWO, they're only good for NXT.
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to bring up here, since we're talking LWO and we're on SmackDown, with the LWO, you've got these 4 members, but you also got Rey Mysterio once he comes back. That makes 5. You mentioned for Legado, perhaps you have Elektra Lopez come up and join Legado because she was with Legado at one point in time. And Zelina kind of took over when they got brought up to the main roster. So that would be Elektra and Zelina's reasoning for beefing. There is, as I mentioned, an El Idolo, Andrade, that's supposed to be coming back to WWE. Could you see potentially with Rey Mysterio when he comes back and is the leader of the LWO? Could you potentially see them bring in Andrade and have him join Santos Escobar and Legado to kind of make it an even 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 if you include the ladies in there?
Are we on the same page?
I don't know. Are we?
Oh my, yeah. I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, yeah, I was saying to myself because I talk to myself when I'm thinking about some stuff. I said, man, I think Tony will like Andrade and Phantasma. I said, and put Electra Lopez in there, I think LWO versus Langada. I mean, with Andrade in this, I said, what a way to come back to WWE and you be part of another faction that's good. I'm like, yeah, I was thinking about this yesterday, and you actually come up to. I hope they do that.
It's funny. That would be great. I mean, just imagine the reaction Zelina Vega would have if Andrade came back and joined Legado with the history that those two have together.
Yeah.
And seeing them on opposite sides.
She helped them win a title against her husband.
Right. Back in NXT.
Yeah.
It'd make for stories, that's for sure. Of course, that's all fantasy booking, but hey, that could potentially happen. Andrade's supposed to be coming back, so.
Oh yeah. Damn, I can't believe that we
go. I know, right?
Oh my god.
Hey, things happen.
Yeah, I know.
They go back to the gorilla position. Caleb Braxton catches up with Pretty Deadly, who are themselves going to be in a rematch from 2 weeks ago, or at least so they think. We'll get into that in a bit. They feel pretty confident about this. And then we go to the Pride. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits talking backstage about the run-in with the Final Testament a couple weeks ago and how they want a chance to prove that they are the Almighty. Pretty much. Was there anything that you took away from either one of those two promos before I get into the tag match?
Be honest, it's the same Bobby Lashley promo. That's always been the same with Bobby. But with the Pretty Deadly, it's the same thing. You know, them looking like the second coming of John Morrison. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So then go to the match. You got Pretty Deadly out there. And then you get Tyler Bate make his entrance. They're expecting Butch. But instead, the tag team partners, the Bruiserweight, Pete Dunne. Quite the different individual, I guess you could say, from Butch. Even though it's the same guy. But you could even see in the match Pete Dunne, more Pete Dunne out of Pete Dunne than what we'd seen as him when he was Butch, if you will. And also, about damn time they got rid of Butch.
We're again on the same page. I am so happy he's back as Pete Dunne because that Butch character, he looked like a guy that was selling a paper in London, England in 1924.
Well, you're not wrong.
You know,
it was nuts.
It was a nut. It was a good character to get him over, but come on, people knew who he was, and I'm so glad that he's back to his original character. They should have never changed it, but that was a different regime. I love it, and I love the chemistry between him and Tyler Bates. And it's gonna work perfectly for both characters.
I think so too. I think this is a great way to have Tyler Bate introduced into the main roster and as this tag team. I feel like big thing on horizon for British Strong Style.
Is that the name they're going
by? I'll say this much too. Is
that the name they're going by?
Well, I would imagine that's what it will be because that's the name they went by as a tag team in the past in NXT UK. But they might change it up. Who knows?
Yeah.
Even Corey mentioned that British Strong Style was their name at one point on commentary. So I'll even say this much for Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. I could feel like if they split up the tag team titles like they're talking of doing come by before or at WrestleMania, I could see Tyler and Pete potentially being the first holders of WWE tag team titles or whatever they call it on SmackDown. If they crown new champions there. There's a lot of pretty decent tag teams on SmackDown right now, but I think they would be a top contenders for the tag titles. And really, when you look at how things have been going tag team title wise, you haven't seen Judgment Day on SmackDown in about a month or better. So I feel like they definitely could use a tag team title there on SmackDown.
Hell, if you look at the whole championship landscape on SmackDown, none of the titles are featured.
You're kind of right, I guess. I mean, you see the women's champion every week, but that's about it.
I mean, I feel
the
like
U.S. champion you're only seeing every couple weeks.
Yeah, because I only see, Io Sky. Everybody else is like Roman's not there. The Judgment Day's on Raw. Katana and Chase they're on Raw. Logan Paul don't show up as much.
Yeah.
So basically your women's champion's the only top champion, and I don't see any of the guys wrestling for that belt.
Right? I would hope not.
Oh.
Yeah, that does need to change. I agree with that.
This is when you get that.
So we move on from there.
All right. This is what you get when you have part-time champions. I mean, and Logan and Roman, but Judgment Day. Judgment Day, they're more of a Raw team. They don't want to go over. It sucks, but that's the way they drew it up and thought they would be there.
Right. But and we move on from there. Caleb Braxton would catch up with Pretty Deadly backstage and say, "I thought you guys were ready. You guys were prepared for them." And of course, Pretty Deadly saying, "We weren't prepared for him. We've never seen this guy before. We were prepared for Butch." Just a hilarious backstage promo. Pretty Deadly, which pretty much all they're good for, in my opinion, honestly. I don't think they're all that great of a tag team in-ring wise or wrestlers in-ring wise.
No.
Some people might not agree with that, but I just don't think they're all that great. I think they're good coming.
No, they're like the version of Billy and Chuck.
Yeah. Except for Billy and Chuck were better wrestlers.
Yeah, that's what I understand. But the gimmick is almost like, I have no idea what the hell they're wearing.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's like, but yeah, they're a comedy act, and if they're in NXT, I think they would have been really seasoned vets. It's just like we said, the division is one-sided.
Right. All right. We'll move on from them. You got the KO show with Kevin Owens and Logan Paul. Talking about piping up their match at the Royal Rumble. KO saying that Logan Paul couldn't knock him out for a 3 count. Even if he tried to, that KO would keep getting back up. He'd just keep fighting. And KO said he wouldn't wear his cast at the Royal Rumble. So Logan wouldn't have to worry about suing anybody. And he'd even take off the cast right now. So he takes off the cast and turns right into a sucker punch from Paul. But KO did not stay down. was the problem for Logan. KO would get back up, get a little bit of the upper hand. Things would fall to the outside. Unfortunately, there is where Logan Paul would smash KO's broken hand into the ring post, though. Kind of surprised he didn't try to do more to it than what he did, though, honestly. But Logan Paul got the upper hand there, and we'll see what happens this next week going into the Royal Rumble from there. But like I said, I thought Logan could have done more to try and injure that hand worse than what he did.
Yeah, I agree, and let's give it up to Kevin Owens for doing the Hulk Hogan, not selling gimmick.
Yeah, he sold it for like a second, and then he starts getting back up. So.
I know.
He's just trying to prove a point. That's all.
Yeah. No. I love KO. To be honest, I thought the outside work was more better than the inside work because they were trying to show that, I took it off, and then injured him. I thought the inside work was like, okay, I could beat you with, without a cast and all that, but I think the outside promo was more the outside work was more better than the inside, and yeah, if you agree with me.
I can see where you're coming from. Makes sense. But again, I still felt like they could have done
more. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They could have did more in the ring and then do, trying to make it. They're trying to hype up a match. I mean, I feel like they could have, you're right, they could have done more.
Right.
But they did what they felt was necessary. You got KO sitting there. You got KO sitting there that is one of the, for his size, a great technical wrestler. And then you got a megastar, no offense to LA Knight, but you got a megastar that's live streaming and building up your brand and his brand. You could have did more with Logan Paul.
Yeah, that's for sure. Anywho, I will move on. Bloodline talking backstage. Roman saying how he wanted things fixed, but Solo and Jimmy would send Paul Heyman out when they only have one wise man, and there's two of them, where one of those guys could have went out instead at the beginning of the show. And Solo saying, "Don't worry about it. He'll fix it. It's on him, but it'll be taken care of by the end of the night." I think it's pretty nice to actually get to see / hear Solo talk more. For so long, he's been the silent one of the Bloodline for the most part. And it's nice to see a little bit of character put into him, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it is nice to see him
more
talk.
than just attacking Samoan Spike people.
Yeah, it's nice to see him talk, and then with Roman and that little nudge from like, you're the future heir of the table. You're the future. You're the future of the family. And then after they leave, you see Roman looking like, should I worry? But it looks like he was pissed off. Like, did I get Solo pissed off at me because he looked intimidated?
He did in a way, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So then we go from there. You got Caden Carter and Katana Chance from Raw coming on to defend the women's tag titles against the Unholy Union, Elbow Fire and Island Dawn. This match I felt like was too short. They could have done more with it. And not surprising that Caden and Katana retained, but I still feel like Elba and Isla should have been given more of a chance in that match. Damage Control, of course, on commentary after the match. Asuka and Kairi rather, have the women's tag team titles, go into the ring with them, and eventually hand them over to the champs, leading into a match between those two teams next week on SmackDown.
Yeah, the match was short, you know, and basically Isla Dawn and
Yeah.
Alpha Fire really haven't had a good showing on the main roster since they got demolished by Ronda and Shayna Baszler. You know, if
Right.
you look at it that way, and then
I
they
agree.
got taken off. Then they got taken off of
Mhm.
TV for a while, and then they just come back and look spooky. And then the way the Kabuki Warriors come into the ring, that they're dancing to Katana, and, to the tag team champions music, and I don't want to say this,
Mhm.
but I see the Kabuki Warriors winning next week. Um, I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
kind of think you will too.
it feels like a transition champion they are, and I think they're great. They're great. They're a great team, but I feel like they're a transition tag team champions right now.
I agree.
I don't know what happened.
I get a thumbs up. And
Yeah, I know. They got us on the fire.
I mean, that happens, and then Bailey will just have to finish off the whole rest of their plan for Damage Control and win the Royal Rumble to go on to face Rhea Ripley supposedly at WrestleMania.
Yep. And the only thing that looked good about when you see the Kabuki Warriors in the way that my girl Dakota Kai looked, I'm like, yummy.
Dakota Kai does look good.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bailey and how she keeps saying that she's going to challenge Rhea Ripley, I'm kind of surprised Rhea hasn't actually mentioned Bailey in any of the promos that she's talked about that she's had over the last couple weeks. Not directly, anyway.
Yeah, I am surprised about that, but Bailey, she could say that she's challenging Rena, but she's looking at her future opponent right next to her in EO.
Right? I'm sure. Anywho, from there, you'd see Gallows, Anderson, and Meechin talking in the back. AJ would come in. Gallows says, "We still have your back, whether you want it or not," pretty much. From there, you go to Karrion Kross, a video of the Final Testament talking their stuff, leading into a meeting between the Final Testament and the Pride next week. Lashley and the Street Profits. Kathy Kelly catches up with Carmelo Hayes to talk about last week's match that him and Austin Theory had that got called off by the referee. Theory and Waller come in, and it ends up leading to Grayson Waller accepting a rematch for Austin Theory against Carmelo Hayes next week, which Austin Theory did not look too happy about. And told Grayson he needs to stop doing that. Trouble in A-Town Down Under, perhaps?
Oh yeah, it's definitely is. I see that they're gonna have a match down the road somewhere.
I mean, that's a team I thought could be potentially future tag team champions, but they've already got their issues, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. So we go from there. You got the semi-main event, the Phenomenal One, AJ Styles versus LA Knight. And again, it was another short match. Jimmy Uso comes out, kind of gets involved. But Solo, who actually does get fully involved, hits a Samoan spike on LA Knight, which causes the end of the match. And AJ Styles ends up eating a Samoan spike as well. Leading into the main event match, what did you take of that AJ Styles LA Knight match for what we got of it?
They work really well together, and they showed that in the tag team match last week and this week. They showed that they could work really well. But, again, the bloodline interferes. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that. That they just get a single match without any interference to see their chemistry shine. I mean, because they're good. They just need the time to prove that them two can work. As of right now, I give it all thumbs up, but the crap needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, I'd agree. I want to see him again at some point with no outside interference. Left me wanting more between AJ and LA Knight.
Yeah.
So then we'll move into the main event match, Solo Sikoa versus Randy Orton. And I feel like I'm a broken record, but this match was also pretty short for the main event. I know we were pretty much leading into what was going to happen after the match, but still, I felt like Randy and Solo should have had more time, and the match should have went longer. Jimmy Uso ends up trying to come out and get involved, but LA Knight stops him. And then AJ comes out. Jimmy's kind of cornered and gets beat up by both. And Randy, off that distraction, actually hits an RKO, and Solo was setting up for a spike to get the win. Things just have not been going good at all for Solo Sikoa when it comes to in-ring action ever since he beat John Cena. He has lost every single match since then, which doesn't speak well for Solo Sikoa, in my opinion.
Sure, what was that back in October?
Early November, I think. Yeah, it might have been the end of October, but still. He hasn't won a single match, I think, since then.
Wow. I thought he won one. Man, that's wow. Wow. Okay, good note. Wow. I thought he actually won a couple of matches before that. That's insane.
Right? It's all been downhill for Solo ever since he took the mountaintop off. Oh. Of course, after the match, it got interesting as LA Knight and AJ would start brawling a little bit, which would lead to an RKO to LA Knight. And then AJ comes walking over to see what's going on, and he gets an RKO as well. Randy struck both. Then Randy's looking around. He knows he's coming from some direction, and he gets hit with a Superman punch from Roman Reigns. Roman would then take the contract from Nick Aldis and sign it, making the Fatal 4-Way official for the Royal Rumble. Roman, being Roman, would then, of course, have to set up for the spear in the corner with his old shield set up for the spear. And as he goes for the spear, he'd get countered with an RKO. Randy Orton standing tall at the end of SmackDown. Is that a preview, in your prediction, potentially, of what we could see at the end of the Royal Rumble?
No. Absolutely not. I see Orton not taking the pin. But no, I see WWE has too much invested in three men. Roman, Cody finishing the story, and The Rock coming back to fight for the head of the table. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I don't see. No offense to Randy or LA Knight or AJ Styles. I see them going a different direction. You know, what I see for WrestleMania 40, if you go past that, I see Randy going after Solo. I see LA Knight against, Jimmy. And the one that I'm hoping it's not going to happen, Carl Anderson versus AJ Styles at Mania. The battle of the OC.
Yeah, it could potentially happen.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, that's for sure. So, what was your final take on that main event match? Everything that happened afterwards, and then on SmackDown.
Be honest, I thought that SmackDown was It wasn't that like we're gonna punch you in the face and then run away. You know, it it wasn't that tightness. Hopefully they could tighten up a little before Rumble next week. When they're in here, what I feel like might happen. They're in Miami next week. Last time a person from that family went to Miami, could we see or hear if Roman is there? If you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Potentially.
Yeah.
It is its hometown, so.
Yeah. Is Roman even scheduled for next week?
I'm not sure. You would think so, with it being the night before the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
But I'm going to double check the WWE.com and see if it is. I mean, he's more of a every other week usually.
Yeah.
Let's see. Friday Night SmackDown. Here you go, Lee. I don't care about the titles. No, he's not. He's not scheduled to be on SmackDown. It doesn't look like.
That would have been a shame because that would have been a nice.
They got LA Knight, Bianca, Solo. It doesn't mean just because he's not going to be there that The Rock couldn't show up and have an interaction with Paul Heyman, though.
Oh, that would have been really. That'd be nice. It's in Miami.
Yeah. The Royal Rumble's in Orlando, so I mean, The Rock could potentially show up on one or both shows next week.
If he shows up at the Rumble in Tropicana Field, yeah, that'd be. It will blow the roof off of. You don't want the roof blowing off in Tampa, but it will actually make Tropicana Field look more realistic than going to a Rays game.
Well, poor Tampa Bay Rays.
The only time that the Tampa Bay Rays get a good showing is when the Yankees come into town.
Oh. Well.
Yeah. I feel bad for them. They're a good team. It's just their attendance and that. Nobody goes to the games.
Yeah. I guess they got better things to do in Florida.
I know, right?
In Tampa, anyway. I'd rather be in the water. Anywho, I'd say it was the wrap up week. Anyways, it was an okay week. I wouldn't say great. To be honest, Raw wise, I feel like day one was still their best episode so far this year. NXT wise, I feel like they just keep getting better every week. And then SmackDown, I still feel like last week was probably their best show so far out of the three.
Yeah, I mean,
which is still surprising to say since Roman Reigns was not part of last week's show. But
yeah, I give your props with that one. I feel like day one was basically the best show out of the 3 weeks that we had, and yeah, NXT keeps improving, and I don't know. I feel like the road to the Royal Rumble is basically taking a detour.
yeah, seems like it. And we'll see what happens this next week. And they should have some pretty big shows since it's the final stops before the Royal Rumble, at least for Raw and SmackDown wise. Declared for the Royal Rumble. We still don't have a whole lot of individuals declared for either one of the two Rumble matches. So
maybe it's going to be a different.
I know there's a lot of people that hate when so many get. Could be. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe it's going to be a different Rumble. Like, the 5-man Royal Rumble.
Wait and see next Saturday. 1 week from tonight. A 5-man Rumble. I highly doubt that.
No, but I mean, back in the day, man. Back in the day when they had the calls. Yeah, it was a better. People knew who was in the Rumble back in the day. Now it's like, okay, who's in it?
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, I see all the time on social media where people complain about them announcing. As long as they leave a couple spots open in there, you still can get sub surprises anyway. Doesn't mean you need to keep 20 spots open just for 1 or 2 surprises.
Yeah.
That's my feel on it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, we'll see how things go. Next weekend, of course, I'll be doing the Royal Rumble predictions show with John. I know you've got your things you'll be doing that'll keep you off of here.
Yeah.
You and I will probably do this show again we might wait 2 weeks. It depends on your schedule. I'll talk with you more about it when we go off there. But
yeah,
definitely in 2 weeks from now, we'll probably Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I will when we get closer to the Rumble, I'll give you my predictions, about who I think's going to win and all that. I'll do that before I head out. But, yeah. And then I'll let you know when I'm coming back that we'll plan for right now, everything's up in the air. So I'll just keep you posted.
Right. Sounds good, my man.
But, thank you. I had fun. I had fun with this. And we're doing this.
Semi-weekly.
Yeah.
We're hoping weekly.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice for anybody watching now and or later if you get involved in the comment section too. We like hearing from you either in the comment section during the live show or mention something. Leave a comment after the show too.
Yep.
Let us know what you think.
I had one of my friends I talked to yesterday, and I go like, "Hey, dude, come on to this Tiger Talk wrestling thing." I said, "You can make your prediction live on." He said, "Am I on the show?" I said, "No, you're not that talented." I said, "You're not me." I said, "I'm sorry." But I said, "You could just comment who you think's going to win the Royal Rumble." And he He said, "Wait, you're a part of a show?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I'm the A-lister, and you're the water boy."
Oh, thanks.
No, not you. I said, "We're the A-listers." My friend from New York
He's
is
the
the
one.
water boy,
Yeah.
trying to.
Gotcha.
He's our roadie.
Oh, okay. I'll take that.
Yeah, I know. But I'm gonna let you go. I know
think-
we'll just sign out from here, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll look forward to everybody. Hopefully, just leave us comments. Like I said, it's nice to know
Please do.
people are enjoying the show or not just from a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Later. Might have to try that again.